It all kicks off in a totally snow-covered landscape where we spot some footprints left by someone taking a stroll. Next up, a young dude with brown hair and an orange scarf takes a deep breath of the freezing air under a starry night. He then drops right into a massive ice hall where a mysterious figure is waiting for him on a throne. The warrior lands on top of a giant wolf and mentions that he finally managed to reach this place. With that, he steps firmly onto the creature's back, showing off his imposing presence in the room. The guy stares down the woman on the throne, calling her a witch, and says the 20-year war ends today. The white-haired lady sitting on the throne just gives a mocking smile at his confidence. She then tells him to stop being ridiculous while getting ready to make a move against the intruder, and the sorceress warns him that nobody has managed to make it out of her ice palace in one piece in the last 1,000 years. Her hand then starts glowing with icy energy as she focuses for the attack. She finishes her sentence saying that this rule about not making it out alive applies to him too. At that moment, the lady unleashes an absurd amount of power, creating several ice spears. The woman launches the attack with full force and shouts that she's going to make him regret ever coming there. The young man looks up, shocked by her power, and calls her the heavenly demon. Quickly he moves to dodge the first projectile coming his way. The warrior continues to dodge with great agility between the sharp ice spears. He leaps from side to side, trying his hardest not to get tagged by the attack. The guy is impressed by the speed of the ice sorceress's attacks. He realizes her magical power is so huge that it could pierce through his rebound energy. Looking at the sky, he notes there are too many ice spears to dodge them all. The guy gets grazed by one of the ice spears and grunts in pain from the impact. Thinking about what to do, he decides to take action and propels himself forward with speed. Then he uses a technique called Void Flight of the Heavens to dodge the projectiles in mid-air. Even with his agility, a rain of ice spears keeps falling in his direction. The warrior thinks he needs to get close to her and attack while she prepares a big technique. The sorceress calls him a rat and dares him to dodge the next attack she's going to launch. She then summons the ice spirits, asking for power to annihilate her enemy once and for all. The MC stomps firmly on the ground, getting ready to charge against his powerful opponent. Yelling her name, he charges in with everything he's got amidst the blizzard of magical attacks. The warrior runs toward the witch while she floats in the air preparing her spell. The two stare each other down, ready for the clash, releasing their blue and red auras of power. Next, their powers collide in an explosion of energy that reverberates through the whole hall. The white-haired woman gives a mocking laugh seeing the result of the power clash. The guy appears with several cuts on his face and grumbles, feeling the force of her attack. He regrets missing the chance to attack and gets thrown back amidst the ice spears. The young man falls onto a large chunk of ice, trying to balance himself after the impact of the blow. He is shocked by the absurd speed at which she can cast her spells. With a determined look, he thinks this fight isn't going to be easy to win at all. The witch then floats up and says that before finishing him off, she wants to ask him a question. She asks if it's true that he came from another dimension and climbed the ladder by stepping over his comrades. The sorceress questions him about the meaning of that fight and why he would risk his own life to challenge her. With a determined look, the guy replies that the demonic cult deserves to reign over all creation. Clenching his teeth, he continues his speech, showing all his conviction and rage. He then releases a red aura and says he can't stop now after all the sacrifices. The witch is visibly shocked by the sudden and immense power boost of her adversary. Wrapped in dark energy, the warrior charges forward screaming her name, ready to attack. The woman questions if he really intends to fight to the bitter end and prepares another ice spell. But the guy doesn't hesitate and flies toward her, saying that this time he's going to end it all, and he dives in with his malignant aura, declaring he's going to put an end to this whole mess. The witch shouts that this would only happen in his dreams while concentrating enormous blue energy. She claims she will never lose to someone like him and prepares to cast her spell. And with that, the sorceress creates a gigantic wall of ice to protect herself from the imminent attack. The MC is surprised to see her use a defensive technique and questions the strategy. He says she underestimated him and reveals the name of his technique, the divine art of the heavenly demon. The name of the move is Descent of the Heavenly Demon, and he warns that it's not an attack she can block. His power then collides with her defense, causing an immense explosion of light in the hall. After the smoke clears, we see that the warrior hit her with a fatal blow, piercing through her chest. He then reveals that he unified the Murim and conquered 4 other worlds, this being the last one. He holds her and shows the vital organ he ripped out, saying he is the strongest under the heavens. Defeated, the woman wonders if this is the end and says now she can finally rest. But the witch refuses to go down and warns him that it's still too early for him to declare victory. And then an ice sword that pierces through both of them begins to glow with an intense blue light. The MC is completely shocked by his opponent's desperate attitude. He thinks she hasn't given up even with a hole in her chest and that he needs to flee fast. The sorceress holds him and says it's too late to escape and that now they are going to finish this. The warrior panics and screams with all his might, realizing there is no way out. And so, with that, the ice sword goes through both of them with more force as they fall together to the ground. The guy coughs up blood and understands that she used a mutual destruction move to take him with her. He thinks that if he goes first, he loses, and that at the very least he needs to see her check out before him. With a last breath, the white-haired woman smiles and says it was she who won in the end. That was how the long journey of conquest of the heavenly demon finally reached its end. In a flashback, he remembers his followers and thinks that an absolute being cannot lose his arts. He then reflects that martial arts were the most important thing in his entire life. Suddenly, what wakes him up is the rhythmic sound of a heart beating, and he sees himself curled up. The guy finds himself in a warm and comfortable place and wonders if he is in a mother's womb. His senses start coming back little one by one, a process he finds interesting. Right after, he realizes he is not alone and sees another baby, wondering if they are twins. Looking at the other fetus, he questions this means that now he will have a sibling. The MC remembers that in his past life he had no siblings and was always lonely. We then see a scene of his poor and difficult childhood, which explains a lot about his personality. He remembers that he lived as an orphan beggar until being dragged as a slave to the demonic cult. After fighting so much and leaving a trail of destruction, he thinks that now someone like him is going to have a family. The guy appears next to his new sister and seems to reflect on this new chance at life. He promises to become an even stronger heavenly demon and that now a new life begins. Finally, MC is born into his new baby body and gives his first cry in the world. The newborn then opens his eyes, confused by the situation he finds himself in now. In the doctor's arms, he feels a familiar energy coming from somewhere very close to him. The energy comes from the other baby who has also just been born and is being held next to him. And so, he looks at the other baby and starts to wonder if by chance that would be who he is thinking of. To his surprise, he realizes that the ice witch has reincarnated as his twin sister. Both stare at each other with malicious smiles and think that this is a golden opportunity. The doctors think it's cute that the babies are smiling, unaware of the mortal rivalry between the two. The MC remembers that in his past life he surpassed several legendary masters, starting with the Sword Master. He also defeated the greatest assassin known as Chiangak-sal, showing his superiority in combat. Not even the genius of poisonous arts Tang Mansion was able to resist his overwhelming power. And finally, the master of external martial arts Sanguang also succumbed to his strength. The guy reflects that he surpassed all these great warriors but now faces his greatest trial. He has been reborn as a defenseless baby wearing a little bear outfit and with a pacifier in his mouth. Lying in his crib, he laments thinking that this is the most difficult situation he has ever faced. Suddenly the bedroom door opens and he prepares for what he considers a huge threat. And his new mother enters the room and affectionately asks if her little angel slept well, but he panics. He begs in his mind for her not do what he is thinking, but he knows it is useless. The woman comments that Aram is very quiet and brave while he gets irritated for not being able to control himself. He finds it humiliating not to have control even of his own body, and the mother says she is going to change his sister's diaper. The MC just observes the whole situation with an expression of total disapproval on his face. He then turns to his sister and remembers that she is the reincarnation of the Ice Witch. The little girl looks like an angel, but he knows very well how dangerous and cunning she can be. Concentrating, he checks his dantian and realizes he is already ready to accumulate internal energy. He then plans to open his meridians using his secret mental technique as soon as the sun rises. But every time he tries to meditate, his sister starts crying loudly to disturb him. His parents come in to calm the girl down and end up picking him up too, ruining his plans. He notices the victorious smile on her face and understands that she is doing this on purpose. He thinks she is using cheap tricks to interrupt his training and gets furious. In his father's arms, he stares at his sister and promises in thought that she will pay for this. With a determined look, he swears to himself that he will never give up on his goal. To defeat her, he decides he needs to train not only his internal energy but also his body. He cannot rest for a single moment and prepares to start his intense physical training. And so, the little boy believes that the one who is prepared to fight first will be the victor. 4 years pass and the children's mother says goodbye to a visitor, asking them to play. The MC Urem is left alone with his sister and prepares for the confrontation he has waited so long for. He approaches her and asks how long she is going to pretend she knows nothing. The little girl Yuri looks at him with an expression of disinterest, pretending not to understand what he is talking about. Uram says that until now parental supervision hadn't given them an opportunity to settle their scores, and she calls him immature and asks how long he is going to keep talking about fighting. The girl then says there are 3 things he needs to remember, and he gets curious, and the two stare at each other seriously and she says that first of all, it was she who won in the past life. Uram gets irritated with the provocation and decides that to win he needs to attack first and gain an advantage. He then lunges at her with a punch but she uses a stuffed rabbit to defend herself. The girl throws the toy at him with force, and he is caught by surprise by the unexpected attack. The boy dodges the rabbit with agility and prepares to counterattack his adversary. He manages to get past the toy and continues advancing toward her with his fist raised. The girl then says the second thing while a colorful aura begins to emanate from her body. She explains that unlike him she uses magic and has no restrictions on using her power. The girl then uses her magic to animate all the stuffed animals in the room, which advance against him. But the boy is shocked to see the army of toys coming in his direction ready to attack him. The little animals knock him to the ground and immobilize him, leaving him no chance to fight back. Yuri then says the third and final thing with a serious and determined look on her face. She says he must ensure their parents suffer no harm and that there will be no life or death duels. And so, the girl reminds him that in this life they are family and should not do anything that might hurt their parents. Yuri questions her, saying they were mortal enemies in the past life and asking if she is okay with that. The girl stares at him with a thoughtful look and seems to reflect on her brother's words. And she then says that the past life doesn't matter anymore and corrects him, telling him to call her big sister. The guy gets irritated with her attitude but seems to accept the situation for now. Later that night, the family's house is silent with everyone sleeping peacefully. The two siblings are in their cribs in the same room, but Aram is awake and thoughtful, and he wonders why she is acting so differently from the ice witch he knew. The MC remembers the powerful and ruthless woman who wouldn't leave him alone no matter what. He then questions if it's because he is too weak, or if she really sees him as family. Meanwhile, Yuri is also awake in her crib with a distant and thoughtful look. She remembers her past life where she lived in a world of fire and constant destruction. In her previous life, she only knew violence and the struggle for survival without truce. She remembers having to fight and take lives to stay alive even if it hurt her. She then remembers the old memories that torment her while she tries to rest in her bed. Then she wakes up startled but calms down, remembering that this life is different from the one she lived before. The girl sees this new life as a gift from the gods, and we see a happy memory with her new family. With a determined look, she promises herself she won't lose this new chance to be happy again. Rem begins his physical training doing push-ups with just 2 fingers to strengthen his body. He balances on the bed and reflects that the witch is right because he needs physical strength to use his power. With a sweaty face, he thinks that she uses magic and that's why she doesn't have the same restrictions as him. The boy ends up losing his balance and falls on the bed, frustrated with the difficulty of the training. Lying down, he looks at the ceiling with determination and promises himself he will catch up to her soon. And so he then decides that from that moment on he will start the training of the infernal arts. And so his divine art of the heavenly demon technique requires at least 3 gapja of internal energy to be used. 1 gapja equals 60 years of energy, and in the past life, this placed him among the top 100 masters. Sitting on his bed, meditates to create a core and accumulate energy in his new body. Now more adapted, he manages to concentrate and calmly identify the flow of his blood. Right after, he enters a state of ecstasy and feels that something special is happening with his body. Normally the Myeongmun point at the base of the spine should open and connect to his dantian, but for some reason, the Bako point on top of his head opened first, and he wonders why. The pure body of the baby accepted the change, and now he possesses 2 energy cores, one in the head and another in the abdomen. With his 2 cores activated, a powerful red and black aura begins to emanate from his body. Time passes and we see a school bus in front of the family's house some years later, and so the mother says goodbye to Yuri at the door and asks her to listen to the teacher and have fun at school. She then calls for Uram, saying the teacher is waiting for him so he shouldn't be late. The boy's backpack then falls to the ground with a thud, showing he has no intention of going. He tells his mother he has nothing left to learn in that place, leaving her confused. The mother laughs awkwardly and apologizes to the teacher, saying her son is a little unusual. The teacher praises Uram for being expressive and the mother encourages him to make friends at school. With a threatening look, Yuri reminds him she had already warned him to act like a normal kid. The boy gets visibly tense with the pressure from his sister and starts sweating bullets. Next, the school bus with a cat design departs, taking the kids to the city. And so looking at his reflection in the window, Uram thinks it's frustrating, but he needs to endure it for now. As soon as he enters the bus, a little girl greets him, but he continues with his serious face. The girl asks his age and if he wants to be her friend, but he doesn't seem interested at all. Uram replies coldly that he is 966 years old and doesn't like kids. The little girl starts crying loudly, and the teacher comes over to see what happened, and during the day he keeps his consciousness to a minimum to practice cultivating his internal energy. At night he focuses totally on his external martial arts training to get stronger. The guy pushes his body to the limit, alternating between his 2 energy cores to recover. In a flashback, we see the birth of a new baby in the family who seems healthy and happy. Little Yuri gets super excited and with sparkling eyes seeing the new member of the family. Their parents present the new little sister and the mother asks if she isn't a cutie. Orem analyzes the baby and realizes he feels no energy coming from her, so she is not reincarnated. And so he then reflects that there is no guarantee that he and his sister are the only reincarnators in the world. With a serious look, he concludes that other reincarnators are probably thinking the same thing. The scene changes to a clinic and someone wonders why they were called to such an isolated place. Oram tells Yuri accepts a duel at any time but that she needs to understand something first. The girl stares at him with an expression of boredom without showing much patience for the conversation, and he then hands something to her and the girl asks what that object in his hand is. Upon opening her hand she sees a shiny ring and is surprised by the unexpected gift from her brother. The guy asks what the trick behind that ring is and he tosses the object up, and so he then questions her if she is sure that Yuna isn't a reincarnator like the two of them. The ring emits an intense blue light and transforms into a dimensional portal, leaving Yuram shocked. Yuri explains that the ring is a portal between dimensions and allows teleportation at any moment. She confirms that Yuna is a normal child and asks him to protect her in case anything happens. Aram questions why she is talking as if something bad is about to happen. The girl says they must behave like big siblings and take care of the youngest. She then turns around and walks away, telling him to behave and not cause problems for the family. The MC clenches his fist with a determined look, ready to follow his own path, and so he thinks that no matter what happens or if there are other reincarnators out there, the guy is focused on recovering the power of his past life to face any challenge. Time passes and we see the two siblings already as teenagers on a special graduation day. He believes nothing will be a problem as long as he continues his intense secret training. Sitting at his desk, he concentrates his energy and prepares for a major breakthrough. The boy finally manages to gather the internal energy needed for his special technique. With his eyes closed, he reaches the level of 3 gapj of energy and is now 17 years old. Yuram reflects that he is still far from his past power and that now he needs more practical training. Just then he sees a bully stepping on a classmate named Donkyu and provoking him for not being happy to see them, and the aggressor orders the boy to buy bread for them because he is starving and hasn't eaten anything for breakfast. The young man lying on the floor says with fear that he has no money at that moment to obey the order. With that, the bully grabs a broom from the floor, getting ready to use force against the defenseless classmate. He then threatens the guy, saying that in that case, he will have to get beaten until he finds the money. But before he can attack, Orm grabs the broom firmly and orders him to stop immediately. The aggressor turns around furious and asks who the hell he is to interfere in his business. The other gang members also look surprised by the MC's sudden intervention in the fight. The boy on the floor is shocked while Yuram calmly replies that he is just a classmate of theirs. The MC then stands up holding the broom with a serious and imposing expression on his face. The aggressor gets irritated with the intrusion and wonders what is wrong with that guy. With a serious look, the MC thinks that the situation there is no different from his past life. The bully yells for Uram to let him go, thinking he owns the place, and his friends just watch. Uram reflects on how people are mistreated just for being weaker than others, and also for being alone with no one to defend them like he was in his childhood. He remembers what it was like to be despised and avoided by everyone around him back then. The MC concludes that the situation is exactly the same in the past as in the present. The other bullies comment that Uram is the class rep's younger brother and that he never speaks. Irritated with the resistance, the aggressor tries to break free from the MC's firm grip with force. The bully then shouts for Uram to let go and tries to land a punch straight to his face. But the MC blocks the blow with ease, surprising the aggressor with his strength, and the scene changes rapidly, showing the agility of the movement that just happened between the two. With that, Uram stomps hard on the bully's foot to destabilize him and gain the advantage in the fight. Next, he throws him easily to the classroom floor, leaving the aggressor completely shocked. The MC then picks up the broom that the bully had dropped at the moment of the attack, and the other bullies just laugh at the situation and start recording everything with their phones to post online. The girl films the scene with a smile on her face, finding the whole situation very amusing to watch. Ignoring the others' mockery, Uram simply turns around and starts walking away from the mess. But to their surprise, the guy walks in their direction, leaving them scared with his attitude. He then approaches the boy lying on the floor, extends a hand and asks if he is okay. With a gentle smile, Uram offers help to the fallen boy, telling him to get up. He then comments that no matter where you go, there will always be trash people like those bullies. The redhead girl gets offended by the comment and asks if he is talking about them. The gang leader approaches Uram with an irritated expression and asks if he is done talking. The MC stares at him with a mocking smile and asks if he is deaf and needs him to repeat it. And so then he reinforced the insult, calling them all garbage while the bully gets up from the floor. The aggressor charges at Uram with full speed, ready to attack with rage. He screams for the MC to die and tries to land a straight punch to his face with all his might. But Uram dodges easily and asks if that's all he has to show in a fight. With a quick and precise movement, the guy lands a blow that unbalances him and throws him to the ground. Next, he kicks him hard, sending him flying far away with a single powerful blow. The kick hits the bully square on, who screams in pain from the devastating impact. The other bullies are completely shocked by Uram's strength and skill in the fight. The MC then approaches the fallen aggressor and steps on his chest, showing his dominance. And so with a look of disdain, he wonders if that can be considered a warm-up for him. The gang leader gets annoyed and calls him a punk, but Yuri arrives in the room and interrupts the chaos. And she asks what they think they are doing and if they are seriously fighting in the classroom. The bully tries to defend himself and says her brother is beating up his friend for no reason. Uram just points to his own cheek with a bored look, not caring about the accusations. The redhead girl then shows her phone and says she filmed everything and will show the teacher. With a twinkle in her eyes, Yuri uses her powers to control the situation without anyone noticing. The redhead girl's phone suddenly cracks and she is shocked, not understanding what happened. Yuri then tells everyone to go back to their seats because class is about to start. Uram looks at his sister with a serious expression but decides not to question her actions at that moment. And so, the leader of the bullies threatens Uram, telling him to just wait for what is coming soon. The boy who was saved by Yuri hugs him from behind and says they should try to get along. The scene then changes to outside the school with a blue sky and peaceful weather. Yuri meets Yuri outside and questions him for being quiet and anxious to show his strength, and so Yuri explains he just wanted to scare them a little and couldn't stand by watching them torment a classmate. And so, the girl says this world is different from what they were used to and that he should adapt. The guy disagrees and says this world is no different from what they knew in the past. He claims that adapting means ignoring this kind of behavior, so he won't do that. With a determined expression, he says if necessary he himself will change the world they live in. Meanwhile, the boy assaulted by the bullies trembles with fear and anger on the classroom floor. The bullies gather in an alley to discuss what happened to them in the classroom. The boy who was defeated by Yuri smokes a cigarette and swears he won't let it slide, and so his friends question him about what he is going to do since Yuri seems to be very good at fighting. The group leader then says to call more people to help them get revenge on the MC. He argues that they saw how the guy fights and can't simply leave things like that. The bully then approaches the assaulted boy and threatens him to get information about Yuri. The aggressor grabs him by the hair and forces him to listen to his orders with a threatening expression. He then orders him to bring Yuri to a vacant lot after school and threatens him if he doesn't obey. Back in the classroom, Yuri is sitting at his desk with a thoughtful expression on his face. The boy he saved approaches timidly and calls him by name to talk to him. The guy thanks Yuri for helping him earlier and the MC says he did what was right, and so the boy then offers to buy him something to eat as a way of thanking him for the help. Yuri notices the marks of injuries on the classmate's neck and remembers his own childhood. The guy continues insisting on thanking him and invites him to eat something after school if he has time. Yuri accepts the invitation and says he was in the mood for tteokbokki, leaving the classmate relieved. The MC then says the bullies haven't learned their lesson and asks where they are going. The boy gets visibly nervous and scared of the situation he got into with the aggressors. The scene changes to a dark alley where we see the bullies and a few more goons waiting for them. One of the aggressors sees Yuri arriving and warns the others that the victim finally showed up for the confrontation. The leader of the new goons approaches Yuri and provokes him, asking if he thinks he's a fighter. Yuri just smiles and asks if that is the famous place that sells tteokbokki he was looking for. The bullies get confused and call him crazy, thinking the classmate tricked him to bring him there. But the MC reveals he already knew about the trap and calls them all despicable trash. One of the goons gets irritated with Yuri's attitude and calls him a psychopath, asking if he wants to die. Yuri tells them to stop talking and get to the fighting because he is short on time. The scene ends with a street lamp illuminating. The fight starts in the alley lit by a street lamp with Yuri surrounded by several bullies. One of the goons charges at him with a punch, screaming for him to check out with rage in his eyes. The MC dodges the attack with ease and lands a precise blow on the aggressor, knocking him down. The other bullies are shocked by Yuri's speed and strength and call him a punk. Another goon tries to attack him from behind, but the guy ducks, dodging the punch with agility. With a determined look, he prepares to counterattack the opponent who tried to catch him by surprise. Yuri lands a powerful punch on the bully's chin, sending him flying back from the impact of the blow. And the other bullies are even more surprised by his strength and wonder how he manages to fight like that. With a confident smile, the MC invites them to fight, showing he isn't afraid of them. Irritated, the goons charge at Yuri all at the same time to try to take him down. So, the guy lands a kick to the head of one of the aggressors, who falls to the ground immediately. Next, he lands a high kick on another bully who is also knocked out instantly. Yuri continues to fight masterfully, dodging attacks and counterattacking with precision, and so he lands another powerful kick on another opponent who can't defend against the blow. The leader of the school bullies charges at Yuri with a punch, screaming and full of rage. The MC blocks the punch with his hand without even moving from where he stood. With a quick movement, he squeezes the aggressor's hand hard, breaking his fingers with ease. Then Yuri attacks him with an open palm strike, throwing him far away with great force. All the bullies are lying on the ground, defeated by the MC's strength and skill. With a smile on his face, Yuri regrets getting a little carried away in the fight, but has no regrets. The bullies are completely in shock with the MC's display of strength in the fight. With a confident smile, Yuri dares them to keep attacking if they still have the guts. The aggressors get scared and retreat, afraid of the guy's strength and attitude in the fight. Yuri stares at them with contempt and says that's why he can't stand trash people like them. He criticizes them for ganging up to attack the weak but running away when someone stronger shows up. The MC calls them children who barely got out of diapers and already want to act like tough guys. One of the goons picks up a metal pipe from the ground and says he will show what happens to people like Yuri. And so, the bully then charges at the guy with the pipe, ready to attack him with all his strength. But Yuri stares at him with a serious expression and wonders what he should do with that guy. And the scene shows the quick movement of the goon trying to hit the MC with the metal pipe. The aggressor delivers the blow with all his might, aiming at Yuri's head to finish him. The MC then grabs the pipe with his hand and reminds him he is old enough to know that could be fatal. With a single blow, Yuri lands a punch on the bully's face, sending him flying back from the impact. The goon falls to the ground completely knocked out by the MC's powerful punch in the fight. Suddenly one of the fallen bullies wets himself out of fear of the situation and Aram's strength. The guy approaches the fallen aggressors and says they all need a good lesson. The other bullies who are still standing get terrified by the MC's attitude, and the scene changes to the school the next day with students talking about a rumor that spread. And so a student asks if the other heard the rumor that the school bullies were defeated by someone, and the students comment that the craziest part of the rumor is that 10 of them were defeated by a single person. Another student confirms the rumor saying a friend saw a single guy take down the entire group. A girl suggests it could have been Yuri, but her friend doubts it since he is always quiet and keeps to himself. Yuri hears the conversation with a thoughtful expression and seems not to believe her classmate's theory. The scene changes to the school sports field where Ram is sitting with the boy he saved, and so, the guy says now they don't need to worry anymore and that he can count on him if he gets bothered. He then asks if the rumor that defeated all the bullies alone is true. The MC changes the subject and says he just explained things clearly to them without using force. With a smile, he asks his friend not to spread stupid rumors about what happened in the fight. The boy then apologizes for dragging him into that mess with the bullies. Yuri comforts him saying he isn't pathetic and that the real trash are the ones who bully. The guy warns that those bullies are dangerous and have the support of real gangsters, and so, he worries that because of him Yuri might have gotten into big trouble with dangerous people. The MC calms him down and tells him to relax because people like them are nothing to him. The boy thanks Aram and says he has always been alone and no one ever defended him before. He reveals that Aram was the first person to defend him when he was being bullied at school. With a smile, Aram says he was also the first friend he made in this new life he had. The guy gets emotional with Aram's declaration and seems happy to have made a new friend. He then asks Aram's name and the MC finally introduces himself to his new friend. The scene changes to a restaurant where we see the two eating taekbaki together as friends. They are sitting at a table with other people enjoying the meal and the new friendship, and so, the mother scolds her younger daughter Yuna for not wanting to eat the carrots on her plate. The little girl complains that carrots have no taste and the mother encourages her to eat to grow strong. The father arrives and asks Yuri and how school was that day with a smile on his face. The younger sister praises Yuri saying she is #1 and even won an award in America. The father then turns to Yuri and asks if school is going well for him too. The guy replies with pride that he restored justice to the world and made a new friend at school. He says he accomplished something much bigger than passing a test and Yuri stares at him with disdain. After the meal, Yuri says she is going to the study room and says he is going to exercise. The father washes the dishes and expresses his concern about Yuram's future to his wife. And he says he doesn't mind if his son doesn't study but that he doesn't seem to think about his future. The wife calms him down and says not to rush him because everyone grows at their own pace. Yuri is studying in her room and Ram is running outside exercising as always. While running, a man calls him and asks him to come closer for a serious talk. The man and his group recognize Yuri and confirm he is the boy they are looking for. The guy asks what they want and the man questions if he is one of the punks who protects children. With a confident smile, the man says this saves their time and that he wants to settle things. He suggests they move to a more private place and dismisses his henchmen to be alone. Aram accepts the invitation with a smile and says the proposal is music to his ears. The scene changes to a green and sunny mountain showing an isolated and quiet place. The three are in a clearing and the man says this is an empty place with no problems for them. Aram asks if they are sure and warns them that if he fights seriously they won't stand a chance. The pink-haired man gets straight to the point and asks Yuri if he is a reincarnator. The MC is completely shocked by the question and cannot hide his surprise. The man laughs and says Ram's reaction says it all and that he really is a reincarnator. Suddenly a powerful aura of energy explodes on the spot, surprising the MC with its strength. The other man is thrown far away by the force of the energy released by the group leader. Yuri is impressed by the opponent's power and prepares to see what he can really do. With a confident smile, the pink-haired man challenges him to a fight to test his skills. The scene changes to birds flying in the sky showing the intensity and speed of the battle beginning. The two trade blows at high speed and realizes there are other reincarnators besides him, and he wonders if there are others besides him and the Ice Witch and goes for the attack with a punch. The MC hits the opponent's face with force but he seems unfazed by the blow. With a powerful kick hits him again but he continues resisting the attacks with ease. The guy realizes the opponent is channeling Ki in his attacks and that he is no ordinary adversary. The pink-haired man provokes him asking where his bold attitude from before went. The two continue trading blows at high speed with Yuri defending against the enemy's attacks. The MC admits to himself that the opponent isn't that impressive but is still strong. The other man gets disappointed and says Yuri is more boring than he expected in battle. He then decides there is no reason to prolong the fight and prepares for a final attack. Urim also prepares to end the fight and concentrates his energy for the decisive blow. Urim asks what exactly they are since they seem to use martial arts in their fights. The pink-haired man dares him to dodge his next attack to discover the truth. He then launches a powerful punch of blue energy toward Urim, who prepares to defend himself. The attack creates a large explosion of light and energy that destroys part of the surrounding vegetation. The other man who had fallen gets up and looks impressed by his leader's power. The pink-haired man is wrapped in an aura of power and prepares to continue the fight. He apologizes for getting carried away and asks if Urim is okay after the powerful attack. The look of surprise, he realizes that the MC managed to dodge his blow. Urim then asks again what they are and the man is shocked that he escaped. The aggressor realizes Urim is no rookie and gets excited about the prospect of a good fight. With a confident smile, he says it wouldn't be fun if the fight ended so easily. And so Urim insists on the question, wanting to know what they are, but the man continues to ignore him. With that, the guy advances at high speed to attack the MC with another blow. The pink-haired man dares him to defeat him if he really wants to know the truth about them. The two trade punches at high speed with their auras of power clashing in the air, and the MC manages to stop the opponent's punch and prepares to counterattack with his energy. A red and black aura starts emanating from Urim's hand, surprising the pink-haired man. The other man prepares to intervene, but Urim stops him, holding his arm tightly. The pink-haired man is confused by the MC's attitude and asks what he is doing. The other one reminds him of the mission and says the master's orders always come first. The man apologizes for the disrespect and says they needed to test Urim before anything else. With a confident smile, he prepares to reveal the truth about who they are and what they do. He then introduces himself as a member of the Hunter Hall, an organization of reincarnators like Urim. The MC is surprised by the revelation and asks how they found out he was a reincarnator. The man explains that Urim's fighting skills are too advanced for an ordinary student. He says if Urim hadn't reacted to the word reincarnator, he simply would have walked away. And so with a smile, he reveals that the reason for hunting reincarnators is the competition between them. The man explains there are many reincarnators in the world and they are looking for allies. Urim realizes there are more reincarnators than he imagined and that they might have been reborn too. He asks how many reincarnators exist, but the man says he cannot give more information. The guy questions why he would join an organization like theirs for no reason, and so Urim then states that he doesn't work for anyone weaker than him in a fight. The two men start laughing at the MC's audacious declaration with mockery. The leader of the duo bursts out laughing, finding Urim's attitude extremely arrogant and amusing, and so he says there are always idiots who don't know their place and that Urim is one of them. With that, he charges at the MC, saying he needs a little education. A powerful red aura emanates from his body, showing he is serious about the fight. The scene changes to the sky with birds flying, showing the calm before the final battle. Night falls and the scene changes to the front of Yuri and Urim's house with the moon shining in the sky. With that, we see her returning home reading a book. Yuri complains about having to study useless things at school every day nonstop. She thinks memorizing things that don't help at all in life is a waste of time. Urim appears with a smile and asks what the point of all that is to her. He says this is how you survive in this world, and Yuri sighs, tired of the conversation. And so the guy then reveals to her that there are other reincarnators besides the two of them in the world. The girl doesn't seem to care about the news and asks what that changes for them now. She says even if there are others, they should just ignore them and keep living their lives. Yuri gets irritated with Urim and yells at him not to call her a witch anymore because she is just a student. The mysterious man watching her from afar is confused by the girl's sudden reaction. She says she is no longer the ice witch he knew and that now she is just an ordinary girl. And the young lady warns that she won't let anyone interfere with the life she has now, not even him. And the scene changes to the school the next day with sunny and peaceful weather in the courtyard. In the classroom, Urim is sitting at his desk with a thoughtful expression on his face, and he watches Yuri talking to her friends and seems to reflect on what she said the night before. The MC concludes she is satisfied with her current life and doesn't want any more trouble, and his new friend calls him by name and snaps him out of his thoughts, asking what's up. The boy offers an earphone to Urim and invites him to listen to music together. He says it's one of his favorite bands and thinks the MC will like it too. Urim accepts the invite and puts on the earphone to try his friend's music. The guy is surprised by the music and seems to have liked his new companion's recommendation. Urim has a flashback of his past life, remembering everything he left behind in his world. He sees himself at the top of a mountain with his followers ready to conquer the world. The guy shouts to his followers that today they will claim everything under the sky. He declares himself the sky itself, the highest of all, but his followers don't seem to take it seriously. Back in the present, Urim asks his friend who composed the song they are listening to. The lyrics talk about dreams achieved together and memories that will never be forgotten. The friend shows the music video on his phone where a blonde singer performs with energy. He says the music is good and the group is called Fairy, leaving Urim curious about them. The MC looks at the singer and feels a strange familiarity with her face and presence, and so the friend explains they're the biggest girl group right now and the one in the center is the most popular. He also reveals that the girl named Yurian wrote and composed the song they are listening to, and the friend confirms that Yurian is a Chinese member of the group and that she is very popular popular there too. Aram then deduces she must be a disciple of the demonic cult who also reincarnated. He wonders if she became an artist just to survive in this new world they live in. The guy feels a sadness behind her smile and worries about what she might have gone through. With a determined look, he asks his friend where he can meet this girl in person. The friend says he would have to go to a concert or a fan event to manage to see her. Aram then decides they are going immediately to find the girl without wasting any more time. The friend is shocked by the sudden decision and reminds him they are still in class hours, and the scene changes to a tall building named Hunter Hall showing the organization's headquarters. Inside Hunter Hall we see the two men who fought Urim being reprimanded by a superior. The scene shows clouds in the sky indicating a passage of time and a new phase in the story. A bearded redhead man calls them fools for failing to defeat a student. The two men apologize for the failure and admit Urim was much stronger than they expected. The redhead gets annoyed with the excuse and says they should try again if they wanted to live, but someone from above interrupts the discussion saying that was enough and for them to stop. The redhead turns around and sees a blonde boy who seems to be the leader of that branch of the organization, the boy says age doesn't matter for reincarnators and that Urim might have been powerful in the past. The two men recognize the boy as the boss of Branch B and confirm Urim's strength. The boss says they will have to find him personally to know what kind of person he is. With a gleam in his eyes, he uses his powers to levitate the two men in the air with ease. He reprimands them for being useless and for not changing at all since joining him. The boss calls them unskilled trash and throws them to the ground with contempt for the failure. With a determined look, he decides he will personally find Urim to recruit him into the organization. He orders his subordinates to investigate Urim's life in search of any weakness they can use. The redhead man agrees with the boss's orders and prepares to carry out the mission given to him. The scene changes to a busy street at night with cars and people passing on the sidewalk. A taxi stops on the street and we see Yuri getting out walking home after a day of studying. She remembers the conversation with Urim about the existence of other reincarnators in the world. The scene changes to a campsite at night with a campfire in tents showing a fantasy setting. In a flashback we see a little girl walking through a campsite at night carefully. The white-haired girl looks scared and hugs something tight looking around. A man watches her from afar with a smile on his face while she moves away from the camp. The little girl runs toward a lit tent in the middle of the dark and lonely field, and she calls for her sister and finds her inside the tent getting ready for something. The sister asks if she brought what they agreed on and the girl confirms yes. The little girl asks where they are going and the sister says she is going to show something incredible, and the scene changes to a desolate and cold place with a small hut in the middle of nowhere. A rat appears and looks scared of something approaching it in the darkness, and the scene goes completely dark, creating an atmosphere of suspense and mystery about what is to come. A giant centipede appears and the rat flees desperately to avoid being caught by the insect. The rat keeps running for its life but something prevents it from escaping the imminent danger. A skeletal hand grabs it tightly and a hooded figure appears in the darkness, and the figure tells the rat to be quiet and that it will all be over quickly for it. Suddenly a fireball appears and burns the figure's hand, which drops the rat in fear. A voice calls for Grandpa and the hooded figure turns to see who is there. He sees the two girls approaching and is surprised by their presence in that place. The older sister calls for Lena and asks if he waited a long time for them. The grandfather is shocked and slack-jawed seeing the two girls there before him. The sister says he must be hungry and that the adults haven't been sharing food lately. The older sister asks the grandfather why he is living alone and without food, and she then introduces the little girl as Suya, the girl she had spoken about before. The grandfather laughs and says Suya is a very pretty name for the little white-haired girl. He then holds a fireball in his hand and says he is going to tell them the reason for living alone. And so young Yuri remembers this moment and wonders if her life would have been different without magic. She reflects on her past and questions the choices she made in her previous life. Back in the present, Yuri arrives home and finds the boss of Branch B of the Hunter Hall waiting for her, and so she questions him about what he is doing in front of someone else's house in the middle of the night. The boy smiles and says he heard it was a boy living there, not a girl like her. So Yuri notices a suspicious aura coming from the boy and wonders if he is someone's younger brother. A blue aura starts emanating from her hands as she prepares for a possible confrontation. The young lady creates a magic circle and gets ready to attack the intruder on her property. She introduces herself as the big sister and unleashes a wave of power that surprises him. A white cat appears and seems to watch the scene with curiosity and interest in what is happening. The cat sits on a wall and continues to watch the power struggle between the two reincarnators. It then meows and a blue portal opens on the ground, enveloping the area with magical energy. The portal's energy expands and creates a protective barrier around the two combatants. The boy is impressed and says it shouldn't be easy to create a barrier of that scale. He complains about his subordinates, saying Yuri only had civilians around him. With eyes glowing with power, Yuri questions him about who he is and what he is doing there. The boy tries to calm Yuri down and invites her to join the organization of reincarnators, and the young lady says she is the one asking the questions and quizzes him on who they are and why they chase her. He says her brother didn't tell her about them and suggests a chat to clear things up. Yuri interrupts him and demands answers, threatening him if he doesn't cooperate with her questions. The boy sighs and complains that reincarnators are always very rude and impatient with him. A golden aura begins to emanate from his feet as he prepares to show his power. He says they are only willing to talk after feeling the class difference between them. Yuri perceives the threat and prepares a sphere of blue energy in her hand to defend herself. The boy dares her to maintain her arrogance and prepares to attack her with all his power. The two stare each other down with their power auras ready for the confrontation about to start. The scene goes back to Yuri's flashback with her grandfather, and her sister in a cold and desolate place. The little girl's hands glow with blue energy as she tries to use her ice powers. She manages to create a small ice crystal and is happy to have succeeded in her magic. The grandfather praises the two granddaughters' exceptional talent for magic, and the sister shows her fire power. He reveals that Lena has a fire spirit and that Suya has an ice spirit in their bodies. The grandfather is impressed by the ease with which they manage to communicate with the spirits. The little girl asks if now they can become mages, and the sister says yes if they work together. She says if they become imperial mages they will never go hungry again, and the girl gets excited. Young Suya asks if her parents will look for her if she becomes a famous and powerful mage, and Yuri's sister questions her if she still misses those people, and she replies yes because they are her family. With a look of contempt, Yuri's sister says that family is nothing to her. The blonde boy summons the servants of light and prepares a powerful golden energy attack. He then launches a shining arrow toward Yuri with all his strength and power, but the girl creates an ice barrier that blocks the attack with ease and no effort. The scene shows the ice crystals forming to protect the young lady from the light attack. With a confident look, Yuri asks if that's all he has to show in the fight. The boy says that is just the beginning and prepares another golden energy attack, and so he throws a blade of light toward Yuri, who prepares to defend herself again. The young lady summons the ice spirits and asks them to lend her their power for battle. She creates a magical ice circle that blocks the blade of light perfectly and masterfully. The boy is shocked to see his technique blocked so easily by the ice mage. Yuri teases him and asks if that weak attack is the class difference he talked about. Irritated, the boy tells her she can have what she wants and prepares to use all his power. He praises Yuri's skill but says he will have to end her right there to win, and so a huge creature of light forms behind him ready to attack the young lady with everything. With red eyes, he says he will guide her to the end and unleashes the creature of light. Yuri stands firm in her position with a serious and determined expression on her face. With glowing eyes, she dares him to try if he is capable of defeating her in the fight. The creature of light charges toward Yuri with impressive and frightening speed. The scene shows the imminent collision between the power of light and the power of ice of the two reincarnators. The blonde boy says petty tricks won't work anymore and prepares for the final attack. He then releases the creature of light toward Yuri, saying he will end it all now. The powerful attack breaks Yuri's defenses, easily leaving her vulnerable. With a confident smile, the young lady releases her fury and prepares to show her true power. As she raises her hand and a huge blue magic circle forms in the sky, swallowing everything around. Suddenly it starts snowing and a little girl on the street is surprised by the unexpected phenomenon. Her mother says winter is still far off, but the girl insists she saw snow falling from the sky. The mother looks up and is also surprised to see snowflakes falling gently. The snow begins to fall over the entire city, creating an out-of-season winter landscape. Yuri breathes the cold air and prepares to use all her power against the arrogant opponent. The creature of light is instantly frozen by the young ice mage's magic. The giant hand of light gets stuck in a solid block of ice, motionless in the air. The entire creature is frozen and shattered into pieces by the overwhelming force of Yuri's power, and the young lady floats in the air with her feet wrapped in ice, showing her mastery over the element. The blonde boy is shocked to see his creature of light completely frozen and destroyed. Yuri floats in the air with a cold and determined expression on her face, ready for the next step. She is taken by surprise when an ice hand grabs her by the foot tightly and pulls her down. The blonde boy who was frozen breaks free and questions her about who she is and how she can have so much power. The young ice mage creates an ice blade in her hand and prepares for the final confrontation. The boy is shocked by her power and wonders how she manages to have so much strength. The blonde boy is shocked by Yuri's power and can't believe what he is seeing. He screams in pain, feeling his arm being frozen by the young ice mage's magic, and frozen in the ice he grumbles in pain while Yuri says she was the one who asked the question first. With eyes glowing with power, she demands he tell everything he knows about the reincarnators. The scene shows the starry sky and the word death appears, indicating the fate of the reincarnators. A meteor crosses the sky, symbolizing the journey of souls after the end of their past lives. The word reincarnation appears and another bigger and brighter meteor crosses outer space. Several meteors appear in the sky, showing that many souls were reborn in a new world. All these meteors head toward planet Earth, where the reincarnators began their new lives. The rulers of past lives met their end and were reborn in a new world with new rules, and so, they were placed in a new environment within a new social and cultural order different from the one they knew. Hiding their identities, they continued to live among common people, trying to adapt. but the power of their past lives began to manifest and some humans noticed their existence. The rulers of the world officially denied their existence but secretly began to persecute them. The government set up special teams to hunt and capture the reincarnators who were exposed. With this, the reincarnators came into conflict with the authorities and the situation became chaotic. Humans had weak bodies and couldn't use magic or martial arts like the reincarnators, but they were organized and systematic in their combat tactics and persecution of reincarnators. The weapons they used were powerful and threatening enough to injure the reincarnators. The scene shows a reincarnator being hit by several shots from human firearms. To defend themselves, the reincarnators began to unite and fight together against the humans. They combined their forces and abilities to face the threat presenting itself to them. With magic and martial arts combined, they became a powerful and formidable force. The scene shows the reincarnators fighting bravely against the human forces persecuting them. The organized reincarnators managed to protect themselves from attacks and strike back with force and power. In this process, some exceptionally strong reincarnators were revealed and stood out. They began to move to dominate this new world and establish their own power and influence. And to strengthen their own forces, they began to seek and gather other hidden reincarnators. But due to the complex interests of their past lives, forming alliances wasn't easy. Most small organizations ended up disbanding and only the strongest survived. Over time, groups of reincarnators with powerful leaders established themselves in every country in the world. These groups secretly seized power and formed complex relationships with the rulers. Yuri asks how many people know about the existence of reincarnators in the current world. The boy explains that few people know and that the rulers keep everything a secret. Yuri says that's enough and prepares to use her ice powers to end the conversation. She says she will grant him a comfortable end as payment for the information he gave. The scene changes to the snow-covered neighborhood and Yuri's mother talks on the phone about the phenomenon. She says she was coming back from shopping when large snowflakes started falling. Little Yuna is outside building a snowman and having fun with the unexpected snow. The little girl sings a song about the falling snow and enjoys the magical and special moment. Yuna continues singing about the celestial kingdom while a blue aura envelopes the area around her. The scene shows Yuri's leg glowing with the blue energy of her powerful ice magic. She appears in front of her younger sister who looks at her with admiration and surprise. So Yuri is shocked to see that Yuna saw her using her powers and calls her by name. Yuna's eyes shine with admiration and she is enchanted by the sight of her sister. The little girl runs and hugs Yuri tightly, calling her sister with great happiness. With glowing eyes she asks if Yuri is a fairy like Tinkerbell from the fairy tales. Awkwardly Yuri agrees and says yes, she is a fairy so as not to disappoint her sister. She then makes Yuna promise she will keep the secret and not tell anyone else. The next day Yuri and his friend are at a fairy group event with a crowd of fans, and so friend complains about the crowd and Yuri tells them to take a look and leave soon. And the MC says he is going to the restroom and asks the friend to wait for him there in the middle of the crowd. The scene shows the giant stadium where the event is happening with thousands of people present. The men from Hunter Hall are watching the crowd from above looking for Yuri among the fans. The red-haired man spots him and confirms that is the boy they were looking for. He notices Yuri is accompanied by a friend and prepares to put his plan into action. The redhead orders his subordinates to start the plan and they agree with the order. The scene changes to a hallway where we see a man with a staff badge walking. We see a sign indicating the fairy group's waiting room where the singers are getting ready. A man enters the room and tells the girls not to be nervous about the amount of fans. He tells them to do as usual and warm up their voices slowly before the performance. One of the girls asks where Yuri went and the man says she probably went to get some air, and so he guarantees she will return before the show starts and that there is nothing to worry about. Yuri is on a balcony watching the empty stage and the stadium bleachers. The young singer sighs and looks thoughtful while looking at the performance venue. Suddenly she feels an energy coming from somewhere and gets alert with the sensation. She looks at the top of the stadium and sees 3 people watching the crowd from afar. And the singer recognizes the movements of one of them and gets intrigued by their presence there. And she realizes the movements are familiar and that she has seen that somewhere before. The scene shows a flash of light coming from the top of the stadium where the men are watching. Aram looks at the panels with the photos of the singers and realizes his friend hasn't returned. So, he notes that the friend hasn't appeared yet and starts worrying about what might have happened. With a worried look, he remembers his new friend and fears he is in trouble. The guy then deduces his friend has serious constipation and that's why he is taking so long. The scene shows the men from Hunter Hall capturing Aram's friend and taking him away. They take him to the top of the stadium and say now they just need to wait for the boss to arrive. And so Yuri appears and confronts them, drawing their attention with her imposing presence on the spot. The redhead man turns surprised to see her there and doesn't understand how she reached them. And the singer says the student they captured seems to be a fan of hers and orders them to let him go. The redhead realizes she is also a reincarnator and says the boss will be happy to take her. Ram waits for his friend in front of the show panels with a worried expression on his face. He gets irritated with the friend's delay and calls him an idiot for not returning yet. And suddenly the MC feels a familiar energy passing by him in the middle of the crowd of fans. He notices 2 different coups colliding nearby and wonders if there is a fight happening. The The guy doubts whether to get involved in the mess or simply ignore what is happening. He decides to forget the subject so as not to irritate his sister, but something makes him change his mind. With a serious expression, he turns around and starts walking toward the fight location. The MC feels something is wrong and cannot ignore the sensation bothering him, and the scene shows the explosion of energy coming from the top of a building near the concert venue. On the building's roof, we see Yuri defeating the men from Hunter Hall with ease and power. Yuri jumps onto the roof and is shocked by the scene he finds before his eyes. He sees his friend lying on the ground and the Hunter Hall men defeated by the Singer. The MC finds his friend curled up in the corner and calls him by name worriedly, and so Yuri approaches Yuri and confronts her about what happened to his friend and the other men. He checks his friend's pulse and is relieved to see he just fainted from the scare, and so Yuri defends herself, saying she saved the boy from the thugs and that he should thank her. The guy looks at the singer with a smile and realizes she has the same energy he felt. He notices a resemblance between her and his friend's memories about the fairy group. The MC admires the singer's beauty and praises her for being a true celestial beauty. With a confident smile, he asks if she is a reincarnator from the cult of the heavenly demon. He demands she reveal her identity if she really is a reincarnator from the demonic cult. A golden aura envelopes Yuri as she prepares to face Yuri's challenge. The singer says he is a friend of one of her fans and that she will give him one last chance, and she warns him to take his friend and leave, promising to let him live if he obeys. With a fighting stance, she prepares to attack in case he decides not to follow her order. Yuri praises her bold attitude and releases his red and black aura, getting ready for battle, and he warns her he won't go easy just because she is a woman and stares at her with a smile. Yuri questions him about what he knows about her and prepares for the imminent confrontation. Yuri charges at high speed with his power aura enveloping his feet and fists. The two stare each other down with their power auras ready for the battle about to start. Their fists collide in a powerful impact, creating a wave of energy around them. The scene shows the clash of powers between Yuri's red aura and Yuri's golden aura. The singer manages to hold the MC's fist and prepares to counterattack with force. She finds an opening in his defense and attacks him with a quick and precise blow to the stomach. The blow throws Yuri into the air and he is hurled far away by the force of Yuri's attack, and he slides across the ground and prepares to strike back at the blow that caught him by surprise in the fight. Yuri teases him, saying that was all he needed to act so triumphant, and the guy gets up from the ground and seems impressed by the singer's strength and skill. With a smile, he admits she is stronger than he thought and that he will take her seriously. The singer gets excited about Yuri's declaration and says that is wonderful for the fight. Yuri says it's been a while since she had a real warm-up and gets ready to fight. Yuri laughs and says it's been a while since he felt the thrill of a good fight like that. The singer stares at him with a confident smile, ready for the confrontation to come. The two fly in opposite directions, preparing for a powerful and decisive attack. Yuri warns he will attack with everything and dares her to block his blow with all her strength. Yuri prepares to defend herself and concentrates her energy in her arms to block the attack. The two clash in hand-to-hand combat, trading blows at high speed and with great force. The singer is impressed by Yuri's strength and feels the impact of his blows on her body. She stumps hard on the ground and prepares to counterattack with a powerful and precise kick. Yuri lands a kick on Yuri, but he manages to defend himself and calls her desperate. The guy provokes her, asking if she is running out of breath, and grabs her by the neck. The scene shows Yuri's hand squeezing Yuri's neck with strength and determination, and Singer just smiles and doesn't seem fazed by the situation she finds herself in. Yuri realizes something is wrong and wonders if that is some kind of trap. Yuri stomps hard on the ground and prepares for a quick and unexpected move. She spins her body and lands a kick on Yuri, who is caught by surprise by the counterattack. With a victorious smile, the singer says she found an opening in his defense to attack. She then attacks him with a series of quick and precise blows that leave him unable to react. Yuri is shocked by the singer's strength and speed and cannot defend against the attacks. He is thrown far away by Yuri's last blow, which hurls him with force into the air. The scene shows the impact of Yuri's blow breaking the roof of a nearby building. Yuri falls on the roof floor with some injuries and looks surprised by what happened. He recognizes the martial art the singer used and is shocked by the discovery he made. Yuri takes a deep breath and prepares to continue the fight with her golden aura shining. The MC gets up and recognizes the technique as the divine art of the diamond Bodhi.